What is up, everybody? This is Rocky at the top of the episode. Really quick, we've got such a fun show for you today. But before we get to all of that, we recorded this on Friday, May 16th. And during the show, we make mention of some of the tornadoes that happened here in Minnesota. And thankfully, Paige and I and the Twin Cities, for the most part, were spared. But after we recorded this weekend, as we all know, devastating tornadoes tore across the Midwest and the South, and a lot of people are really hurting and have lost a lot. And it's a really sad and devastating. And so we just wanted to help in some way. So if you can, there is a link in the show notes to donate to folks who have been affected by these tragic events. And just gonna put it out there. Maybe National Weather Service folks are essential workers in a country that sees 93% of the world's tornadoes. But hey, what do I know? Food for thought, food for thought. But we don't need to get on into all that right now. But if you can spare something, that would be great. If you can't, Lord knows, it's a rough time for a lot of folks. So even just sharing the link or sharing the episode will help a lot. And thanks so much. Enjoy the show. Oh my goodness, Scorekeepers. It is time for another episode of The Score. Welcome to it. This is the show where we talk about the arts and culture through our Black queer lenses. As always, I am your co-host, Rocky Jones, and I am here with my two magnificent co-hosts. I keep saying first and foremost, and it's just the alliteration of it. I don't actually
Mm,
mean
mm.
for first. First, this week, first, we have the splendid, splendiferous Dr. Lee Bynum. Hello, Dr. Lee Bynum. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm okay. It's weirdly cold here.
What do you mean weirdly cold? It's Minnesota.
Well, it's been like in the 80s, close to 90 all week, and today it's like in the 50s.
Right. So it was weirdly warm, and then now it is closer to what you frequently find in May in Minnesota.
Okay, I don't like your attitude right now.
I mean, you over here talking like you live in New Orleans and you're like, it's supposed to be in the 80s. I'm like, no, baby, it's not. Because if that were the kind of weather we were getting over there, I'd still be there.
Fair enough, fair enough. We did have the tornado sirens go off yesterday. That was
Mm.
weird and crazy. I had to,
We
When that
did.
happens.
It was
yes,
not a
it
test.
was not a test. It was not a test. I had to grab Delilah and we had to run into the basement like the Wizard of
Mhm.
Oz. And she was not having it. I almost the tornado didn't take my life, the cat almost did. But of course, that other voice you hear is the magnificent and moisturized Paige Reynolds. Hello, Paige. How are you?
Hello, hello. I'm all right. I'm all right. I survived the tornado, if there was one. I just closed the windows and I turned off the lights like my grandma taught me to do when there's a storm. You're supposed to
Why?
turn off all the lights because
Yep.
God's talking.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, no, my grandmother said the same thing, and I never understood why.
Well, some of it's also that desire not to have their light bills run up and
Yes.
any excuse to get you to turn off those lights. So,
I suppose.
Yeah, practical.
Very, very.
And
Well,
what if there's a power surge? What if there's a power surge? You know who didn't get their electronics mixed up? My
uh,
grandma.
how about it?
the radio starts playing through the TV, that sort
You're
of
right.
thing. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Lightning is very powerful. Well, today we are going to continue on through our with our journey through season 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race. But first, Dr. Bynum, this morning you sent us a text
Uh, yeah, it's
that blew my mind. Would you like to let the people know
I
what
would
is
not
going
like
on?
to, but I'm going to because I feel like there's a public service element of this for those people who are still taking a break from the news. And it reminds me a couple of years ago, we covered another bit of tomfoolery around reality TV. And I think that one was Old Girl from Dancing with the Stars with some crazy reality show. Do y'all remember this?
From Dancing with the
I can't
Stars.
remember what her name was. It's the blonde woman, and she was going to host this horrible reality show. Anyway, we'll come back to that because this reality show is actually worse
Mm,
because it's coming from the government. So Christy Nome, who is the secretary for Homeland Security, has pitched alongside the producers of what my God, Duck Dynasty, a new television show called The American, where immigrants will compete in a string of challenges across the United States for, quote, the honor of fast tracking their way to US citizenship. So so basically what's going to happen is a group of immigrants will arrive at Ellis Island on a boat that they call the citizenship. I am not making this up. And
Oh,
then they will
my God.
proceed, you know, what's it called? The Great Race or one of those shows. It's very much like that, moving around the United States, doing these little you know,
Challenges.
challenges. And the challenges are like, log rolling and those kinds of big Americana things. And if you win, you get your citizenship fast tracked. But if you don't win, you win other prizes like a 10,000 point gift card to Starbucks. You will win a gas card from 76, or what was the other thing that
American Airlines points, I
right,
think.
10,000, 100,000 American Airlines points, like
Which
these
I'm so
kinds of
sorry.
things.
Who like flying American is a fate worse than death, but
No, I mean, child flying period in this country right now. I mean, you see what the guy from Road Rules has our FAA doing. So this just fits. But when I heard about this, like I had the same reaction that y'all did. I was like, oh yeah, the editors at the Onion are doing the absolute most this week. So then I got onto Al Gore's internet and decided to look this up, and no, this is a real thing. But when you think about the fact that there are 24, TV personalities from Fox News in very high profile government positions, and the fact that Trump is clearly running the government as if it is a really uninteresting, wild, and stupid reality show, this as a next step completely makes sense. Like it just actually makes sense. So yeah, do whatever y'all are doing. I still want out of this timeline. Wherever else in the multiverse they are taking people who fit my weird mix of intersectional identities, please come and get me. I've had enough.
it's just it's really disturbing because
Mhm.
it feels like at this point it's almost, I mean, it's not comical, but it's to the point of just absurdity where it's like these people in this administration are taking things to the most absurdly grotesque point
Mhm.
whenever they can. And it's all of these things also that like all these sort of like dystopian novels and movies, people have already come up with these things, right? So like
Mhm.
the ideas aren't even original. Like this is just The Running Man
Yeah.
from the 80s,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Like, and we're going to like turn this into a real thing. Like we're at a point where, and I bet like people would watch it.
Mhm.
I bet
Mhm.
there is a MAGA contingent that is hungry for this type of content. And even though
Mhm.
it says in the article, oh, like, you know, Secretary Nome, she's not aware of this, but you know, people have pitched this, da 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 da. But the unnamed sources are like, oh no, no, this is like her thing. And of course it's her thing
It's
because
absolutely her thing.
she's on television every day with her like bad extensions and
Mhm.
terrible Republican makeup, like
Mhm.
cosplaying, like cosplaying like an ICE agent or whatever, and her like Kevlar with her like, you know, fake AR-15, whatever. And it's just like, this is what she wants. She doesn't want to govern. She doesn't care about, you know, being the secretary of whatever. She wants to be on TV. She wants to be a movie star.
Uh,
And it's just the bread and circuses of it all is
Yeah.
just, it's just sad.
I think I'm so glad that you sort of framed it like that, Rocky, because it really does feel like, sort of like late era Roman Empire,
Mhm.
where the
exactly
pure,
what I was thinking.
right, like the trash of it all is the takeaway, the lions fighting the old men in the Colosseum, and everybody slowly getting stupider and stupider from the lead poisoning in the aqueducts, right? Like that's kind of what I feel like we're living through right now. And it's kind of astounding, and being a bit of a history buff, like it's exciting that I'm getting to visit so many of my favorite periods in world history. I just wish
Okay.
that it wasn't quite this, you know, not a theme park visit. Like if this were Busch Gardens, this would be awesome because I could, get my ass on a plane and go home when it was done. But what's scary is that on the other side of this reality show, this will be what replaces birthright citizenship, like
Oh my God, can you imagine?
I don't know that we have to imagine.
I don't know if we have to imagine anymore.
Yeah,
Lee, I
right.
completely agree. I saw this and I said, "Oh, so we're going full Nero. So we're there." Okay. We're there. I wish some of these people would discover live action role playing games or something like that. You know? Like I don't I as a human, I expect other humans to have empathy for for at least our kind,
Yeah.
ideally all living beings in all of Earth because we live here, but at least other humans. And I just don't understand how you get into the mindset of playing with people's lives
Yeah.
like this. I truly do not understand how people get there to treating this as a game, to just making these weird power plays. Again, get into live action role playing, get into kink, get into something else. Like there's all kinds of ways to work out whatever is going on, but
Yeah.
this I don't understand.
I feel like on the other side of understanding, if your entire political philosophy is own the libs, like it doesn't leave a lot of space for compassion or humanity, right? Like if that's the motivator. And what
Mhm.
worries me is this sort of burn it all down moment. Like it will pass because all moments pass, right? Like and even under the best case scenario, let's say Trump we're going to do an amazing job, clearly he's not, even that would pass. And what are you left with on the other side of it? Like how do we move on together as one nation after all of this, right? Like after 4 years of the governing philosophy being around, I don't think people who look like you deserve rights. What are we left with?
It's crazy, and it's just the way that it is trickling down to sort of everyday interactions between people. It's exactly like you said. Like I don't know how we move on. Like yesterday, like my husband came home and was telling me about like we mentioned earlier this tornado. This crazy thunderstorm was moving through. He works in a garden center, which involves a greenhouse. So when the sirens started going
Mhm.
off, it's his job to go out there and make sure that all of the people who are in a structure made of glass are not in that structure when, a tornado or hail or whatever comes through, because then you could actually die from glass falling on your body and piercing your skin and causing you to bleed all over the place or any number of
Okay.
other things. There was a man who was decked out in full Trump regalia, who, as he is trying to explain to all of these scared people in his store what's going on and why they need to stay out of the greenhouse until the sirens go off and the tornado warning is done. He's calling him, a liberal and saying he's not,
What?
like how is he in charge? And this is a conspiracy from like the liberal weather media. Like I swear to
Oh my
God,
God.
this happened. And then like after everything was done and people were able, like the storm moved through and people were able to shop again, like he's going in and like for the spring, it's super busy, so they have a lot of teenagers who are working there. And he's talking to these teenage girls about like Japanese sex robots and like telling the assistant manager that my husband is like a liberal stooge who has to, learn a lesson or whatever. And now I'm kind of scared because I'm like, what does that mean? This liberal
Yeah.
stooge needs to learn a lesson. And I'm kind of like, maybe you don't need to go to work today. Like it's actually frightening because these people are so warped in their thinking, and you're already like dealing with people who sort of have a propensity for these conspiracy theories, and you're just you know amping those people up. And of course we live in a country where it's like you can just go to Walmart and get a gun. Maybe the tariffs have made that prohibitively expensive at this point, but I don't think so. And it's just it's very frightening, is all I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
it's a
Rocky,
lot.
do you want
It's
to
a
take a
lot.
firearms class together? Let's let's
I
let's let's take a firearms class together. Let's 'cause what in the world?
I I mean
I
I guess I'm not like 1000% opposed to it because it's just I don't
If I lived out there, I probably would. And
I don't know
I
what to say.
really don't like guns. But some of
me neither.
a
Rather
lot
not.
of what you're talking about, Rocky, especially the incoherence of it,
Mm.
it to me that is the thing, right? Like
Mhm.
this series of just statements, or statements that become policies, or perspectives that become policies that are not undergirded in any way by a coherent philosophy around anything. So right, the sort of balancing the, no, we kind of hate immigrants over here, and we even aren't super interested in the European immigrants consistently, but let's bring over these Afrikaners and pretend
Oh my
as if there
God.
is some kind of oppressive thing happening. And all I can do is kind of turn to that large population of immigrant folks who voted for him and ask, hmm, is this what you were expecting? Are you getting your needs met in this moment where these particular people who are neither oppressed nor being killed in record numbers or any of the other things that have been claimed, they just get to come over here and now get all this stuff because they said all the stuff they were getting, right? Like not only all of our entitlements, but also like being handed cash to make sure they can, integrate and adjust into society over here. And I'm like, this is wild, but I really hope that somebody has read a history book to these folks so they don't come over here trying to replicate some of the policies that they had over yonder. In my old job, I went to South Africa 5 times. Apartheid is over and apartheid is alive and well, right?
Hmm.
And I think there are some very real surprises that they are going to find. I would go to Cape Town and be the only Black person in a restaurant who wasn't working there, and having to explain to my colleagues, A, what this felt like, but B, reminding them of why this was, because all of us were alive in the early 90s, right? Like that was not that long ago that you know what I mean? And the fact that these folks are coming over here and these perspectives have probably been reinforced by the things that they've heard coming out of the president's mouth and certainly the policies that are being enacted. Like, yeah, I really hope that they understand that this is a very different country before somebody gets their jaw rocked because they don't
Very
have
different.
sense enough not to use any of the wild terminologies or intellectual framings of race that are so popular over there.
Did you see? There was a TikTok that I saw the other day of it's like a fried chicken place in Harlem, and there is this
Mm-hmm.
white European boy who was standing there like, I want my chicken now. Why is this taking so long? Da
Jackie,
da
pick
da
up
da
the
da da.
pace.
Pick up the pace.
Oh,
I paid for my
oh,
chicken. And like this black man behind the counter, he deserves a special commendation of some sort for his patience because he came around the counter and he just like took this young man aside and was like, "You are in Harlem right now." So I'm gonna need you to take it down several notches and let me explain to you what that means. And he did. And then he just went around and was just like, okay, so I'm taking a while because I want you to have a good experience enjoying this chicken. Okay, so you're just gonna have to wait a couple of minutes. And the kid was just like, I'm sorry, you're right. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But like he did it in that way that was like, if you even whisper a hint of disagreeing with me in any sort of way, I will show you what I'm talking about. And it was
Mm-hmm.
this incredible moment of just like exactly what you're talking about, Lee. Like they're gonna come into this space into spaces where people are not at all going to have any sort of patience
at all, at
Mm-hmm.
all.
for that type of nonsense, and
Mhm.
they are going to learn.
Yeah,
They're
they're
going
gonna
to
learn
learn.
today.
Mhm.
I
Because
think they
I'm
forget that there are several, there are many examples of colonizers getting their ass beat.
Mm.
Mhm,
There,
mhm.
it's there.
Many,
Y'all tried to
many.
cover it up, but across the diaspora, across time and space, there
Mhm,
are many instances of y'all fucking around and finding out.
mhm, mhm.
Go
Because I'm
keep it cute.
assuming you're talking about the Harlem that's outside of my window and not the one
Yes.
that's in the Netherlands,
Uh-huh.
right? Yeah,
No.
Yes,
he might want to
correct.
clean that up, and he might want to clean it up real quick. Yeah,
Correct,
yeah.
correct.
Mm-mm.
Or not. or not.
Or not.
Some
And
of these folks are scientists and they're over here doing experiments to find out what the behavior of the Black American is, and have at it.
have you all seen, speaking of the behavior of Black Americans, have you all seen this new trend on TikTok with white like boomers who are sort of misappropriating the term Black fatigue?
Yes,
What?
yes.
No.
Oh
What?
boy.
Explain. Huh?
Paige, I'm so glad you haven't seen it.
It's so infuriating. So, of course, we all know Black fatigue is the idea of, how emotionally and physically exhausting it can be a Black person living in this society.
Right.
They have taken it to mean that they are tired of Black people and us complaining and all of our demands and all of our wild, loud behavior. And for so long, they've had to tolerate it, and especially in the last 5 years with all of this DEI nonsense, they've had to, just sort of grit their teeth and bear it and pretend that they, want to live in an equitable, inclusive society when in fact, oh my God, now finally, thanks to Mr. Trump, we can just sort of drop the facade and just be as, racist and annoyed and angry as we want to be, and, not have to pretend that we want to live in a multicultural society or that we want to live or work alongside Black people. And oh my goodness, it's just all this Black fatigue.
It
That's
must be exhausting.
so
You know,
exhausting.
I,
So
out of
exhausting.
our 400-year relationship, these last 5 years, they must have been so rough, right?
And it's a lot of white folks in their 40s and 50s, 60s sitting in their car being like, "I'm glad we can finally talk about it." Like you all haven't been talking about this
Right,
for the last 400 years.
right.
Exactly.
But okay. Now you can finally drop the facade and just sort of let out a deep breath and just oh, I can just put this hood on and just finally.
And the thing that always gets me about all of this is y'all could have left us right where we were. You
It's
just absolutely
alone.
could have left us and our gold and diamonds and resources and delicious spices and rhythm and music and beautiful culture and gorgeous melanated skin and incredibly powerful, strong hair that can break the teeth out of your comb. You could have left all that right where it was because we were fine where we were. So I don't know what to tell you. I legitimately don't.
I
Legitimately
want to be
don't.
fake oppressed so bad.
So
So
bad.
bad.
So
Fake
bad. Does
oppressed.
oppression look that fun? I mean, does it?
I think it does.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I think it does. I think they're actually mad that like we're still managing to have a great time
Oh,
out
we
here.
are.
Like I feel like these white people complaining probably just saw like Black people at a restaurant having a good time. It was probably something as simple as that. And they're just like, oh, look at you all blackening it up, being happy. Ugh, aren't you supposed to be back there cooking my food or something? Like they're just bothered by it. They're really, really bothered. They feel like they are owed the plantation, they are owed the exploited labor, they are owed superiority, just automatic superiority, and they're quite pissed. That's all. They just salty.
Ay, ay, ay. Oh my
Especially with us
goodness.
clacking these fans now. Us clacking these fans when we're supposed to be upset. Oh, they're pissed.
Oh, what a world. What a world. Well, speaking of clacking fans,
Hey,
we have some drag queens to get to,
and
and
so many to get to.
and I, oh my goodness, after all of that, I need to cleanse my palate with some beauty and some fashion and some dance and lip syncing and just general I was gonna say a slur, but let me not gayness, queerness.
I know a slur you're gonna say. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what do you say? Let's get to it. We will be right back with the next. Well, we'll see how far we get, but at
Oh,
least
geez.
episode two of season 11 of Drag Race. We'll be right back. And we are back, everybody. It is time to dive into episode two, season 11, RuPaul's Drag Race. This episode is entitled Good God, Girl, Get Out. And it is two the girls are or the queens, excuse me, rather, are divided into two groups to do an acting challenge parodying two uh fantastic black movies from recent history, Black Panther and Get Out. Um
Yes, two of my favorites.
well, I have seen Black Panther.
I'm actually legitimately shocked. I was so ready to have to
Yeah, I'm
explain to you what this movie was, who was
Of
in it,
course
what it
I've
was
seen
about.
Black Panther. Oh my
Don't
goodness.
put no of course on this.
If I had gotten through the year 2018 without seeing Black Panther, I would have been excommunicated from the race.
Factual.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Wakanda, what's that? Like, no, you
God.
can't. I have not, however, seen Get Out because for a variety of reasons. A, I don't want
Oh.
to divorce my husband, and B, I do. And B, I don't like horror movies at all. So I hate fiction,
oh,
but
valid. Yeah.
the fiction that I hate the most is horror movies. I can't do
I also
Wow.
really hate horror movies. I neither like gore nor jump
it.
scares. Like I don't like
Mm-mm.
any of it.
Mm-mm.
And I will say this though, the the sort of cultural moment of Get Out. Well, first of all, Get Out is actually it's not scary. It is a bit of a mind fuck, but like it's actually not scary even a little bit. But I will say like the sort of cultural moment of it all, even if it's something you come back to, I really think it's worth it because it caught something about being a black person in an all white space. For me, it wasn't you know, a romantic space. It was about being at work and sort of having to deal with this perpetual subtext and concerns about where the whole thing was going and how they wanted, you know, my identity to be a useful thing for them. So like as a proxy for what it might be, you know, to feel like you're constantly being exploited because of your identity. I think it's definitely worth a watch. And if it didn't scare me, it couldn't scare anybody.
Fair enough. And and of course being alive during the time that Get Out came out, like I understand the story beats and the references and whatnot through cultural, sort of osmosis. So I wasn't completely lost during the
Mhm.
challenge. But okay, I hear that. So it is a movie about the original sense of black fatigue, the original definition.
Actually, I think it's kind of both if you really think about it.
I
But
guess
yeah.
so. Okay.
True. Yeah.
Well, Paige, I'm curious now that we are here on episode two. What are you feeling? What is your general sort of sense as we sort of dive into your drag race journey?
Hmm. Good question. Okay. I think it's definitely interesting to see people's different strengths start to arise. Some people, especially as we get into this episode where there's acting involved, where there's maybe they're all on screen all the time for Drag Race, although it's a TV show, but like we mean acting in these fake movies, you know? So I think we're seeing more of who like, okay, is a performer, you know, and like the kind who like can be witty or really act like at the drop of a dime. Who's gonna turn a look? Who is
Mhm.
really gonna just, be a threat on the runway? And who's like sure what their thing is.
And there are a
You're
couple of
not
those.
quite, there are a few who are like, you're not exactly excelling at any of the things yet, but maybe maybe you just haven't had your chance. Um, yeah. And I think that also becomes interesting given people on the show who maybe have bigger personalities,
Mhm.
um, who maybe folks have a lot to say about, or may like to argue about, maybe throw a little shade. Um, but when it comes down to it, who is likable as a queen? Who's actually talented? Who does Rue like? Also,
Well,
some
that's
people ain't paying attention.
And that's the main thing you need to
with
pay attention to right
exactly.
now.
That's the number one
Uh,
thing.
huh? Huh? No, I'm peeping game. I'm peeping.
And can I admit something? The acting challenges on RuPaul's Drag Race are probably my least favorite
Yeah.
of the challenges.
I can understand
Uh,
why.
yeah, because it comes down to well, I think in the later seasons, the writing becomes so self-referential that it's
Mhm.
just like,
Mhm.
what are we even talking about?
Mhm.
But like, I think it's so dependent on the writing. I think in this particular instance, one of the movies is the script is just so much better than the other
Mm.
one
Yeah. No,
that the
oh,
girls are just
absolutely.
the girls who are in the Black Panther one are just at a complete disadvantage because the material is just not there. It's just not good. Not to say that either of them are like Shakespeare, but like if one is clearly better than the other, then like what are we even doing here?
It was really interesting watching this while kind of sitting this next to All Stars 10, which is currently running right now,
Hmm.
where this past week on the acting challenge, like a couple of them knocked it out of the park. And one of them knocked it out of the park so good I had to rewatch her little sketch. I was like, "Oh, she showed up." It seems like one of the things that's happened on the show as it's progressed is they've done a better job of casting people for the actual challenges that are on, right? There are more girls now who like can come on and lip sync well, who can sew, who can do the acting because I think casting is looking for it, and more of the girls who are even considering coming. No, oh, I'm not funny. Let me stay my ass at home kind of thing.
Hmm.
With this challenge, there's also the fact that it's two Black films
Yeah.
Hmm.
and people chose their teammates, maybe not thinking about that.
I don't think they did.
And so, one team captain was thinking about it. Silky was thinking about it. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting who the other team captain was, but she was on.
Oh, who was it? Was it Brooke?
It
I
was
think it was
Brooke.
Brooke.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Um, yeah, and I think it was an interesting. I think that was an interesting choice to
Hmm.
to set up the challenge that way, given the material they were working with. Um, and I was like, this would be funnier, and maybe we get a little more with Black directors.
Hmm.
With
Well, there
some
you
guest,
go.
yeah,
There
with
you
maybe another
go.
guest. We could have benefited for sure.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep.
Because
I
who's
was like,
directing it?
something's
Was it
off.
Michelle?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, yep. Sure was.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know about that choice.
Right.
Because I can see like Michelle is often very helpful, like with the roast challenge, like that's
Mhm.
funny, that's not funny. Or like with the girl group challenge, thank you, your
Mhm.
experience in seduction. But these types of it's just not helpful. She doesn't really ever provide any helpful feedback. And I feel like, especially the girls who aren't funny, who aren't actresses, they get really lost in the weeds and they have no idea what she's talking about. And the whole project suffers for it. Like with Mercedes and
Yeah.
Kahana,
Yeah.
like that was like they needed direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And they were not
rewatching it
getting it.
it was actually really uncomfortable
Mhm.
Mhm.
knowing that English isn't Mercedes' first language. That's what that was about. Like she just didn't understand what the words meant and what the broader context was. And it was like, nobody should have to go home over this, right? Like you either control for that in the casting of the season, like making sure everybody who's there has the same level of like actual level of contextual understanding, or you need to do some things to support some of these girls because it was just uncomfortable watching her clearly not understand what those words were. And that
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
simply what that was about. You know,
Or
Kahana
just,
was in a different
yeah,
situation, but like,
yeah.
you know,
Or just like the reference, the
yeah,
opulence, you own everything. Clearly, Mercedes had never seen that movie.
right.
Mhm.
Like, like no idea.
Paris is burning.
Yes. Never had, maybe even like said that word
I was about to say she
before.
clearly hadn't said the word opulence
Yeah.
before. And yeah, it's not a word that's necessarily in, you know, heavy rotation in conversational English, but it was definitely one of those things that was like, this is super uncomfortable. And then at the same time, it was kind of great to see like Sugarcane like do so well because she's one of the queens that like only appeared on the season and it seems to have disappeared from everything after that. And it was like, wow, she was really good. Wherever she is, I hope she pops back up somewhere because she was really watchable. She had really good instincts. You know, some of them do know how to act.
Hmm.
You know, Nina was fine. Like there was no spark there, but like she clearly took a script and said, okay, there's a possibility of making a coherent character from this, and she did, and those are always kind of fun to watch and weird to watch somebody like Brooklyn, who's usually so good at everything, be an unmitigated disaster.
Like really
It
falter.
she couldn't find any of the jokes. Like it was kind of weird.
Well, I suppose we should probably just sort of give a brief sort of overview of the two films and the parts that the girls were playing.
I mean, you're the only one who hadn't seen both of them. Like literally the only person in America. So we can probably just say the roles, right?
Okay. You know what? You
What?
you have a little tude today.
I really do. I had got 10 hours of sleep last night.
Oh, well, good for
It
you.
shifted my personality.
Okay.
In rare form.
Shifted it to the dark side. So for the Black Panther skit, why it gotta be why it gotta be Black Panther. Brooke was playing T'Challa. Uh, let's see, who else?
Nina was apparently playing Angela
Angela
Bassett,
Bassett?
which was just wild casting.
Yeah.
Like that never should have. I was
Yeah, it just didn't
confused.
make any sense.
No, yeah, ciao.
Raja was playing Killmonger.
Right, right.
Honey was, I guess,
The Dora Milaje, all of them.
Denai Guerrera, I guess.
Of
Uh,
course.
Sugar was playing Maxine Waters.
Yeah.
Plastique was playing an evil nail technician.
It's
Yep.
there's a one-armed villain in Black Panther that she was playing whose name escapes me, but it's like only one of two white
Yeah,
roles
was it the
in
white
the
man?
movie.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ariel Versace was Shuri, which,
Yeah.
girl,
No, that was a
that was a
yeah,
mistake.
bless.
Blessings to you, Ariel, wherever
Yeah.
you are. Okay, and then the Get Out, good guy, girl, Get Out. Silky is the mom. Akiria is the friend that works at the DMV.
She was great in that, I thought.
Akiria was fabulous.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say, I know we might not get to episode three, but at the beginning of episode three, when Brooke was just like, I don't see it for Akiria, I was like, girl, what?
Right.
Are you
We
crazy?
we all see it for Akira. She's hilarious. She's some of the best talking heads. She's absolutely stunning every time she's photographed. Yeah, please, Brooke.
Like,
No.
please be so serious.
Yeah.
Vanjie was the dad.
In fucking inspired.
Mercedes and Kahana were the maids, I guess.
Mhm.
What else do we
Um,
say about that?
yeah, that was a lot. Evie was Allison Williams,
Oh,
and Scarlett was Daniel Kaluuya.
Scarlett was good in this. I'm very hot and cold on Scarlett because I always want her to do better than she does. I think she's been at this point on two versions of All Stars, or maybe one All Stars and one Canada plus this. And it's never completely come together for her, but I don't know. I always root for her. Like I think she's good. It just doesn't. Maybe the competition isn't really for her. I don't know. It just doesn't work.
Well, they do say there are a lot of queens for whom, like, they're brilliant when it comes to drag in general,
Yeah,
but terrible when it comes to drag race.
yeah. No, I can see that
Mm.
because I think
Yeah.
she's a very, very good drag queen, and I was reminded of that because she was so naturalistic in that Get Out role, and it really did work. And I think a lot of what worked about it was she was a very logical thing to hold it together. And I felt like that kind of got acknowledged, but they could have said more about why it worked,
Hmm.
which is also
Yeah.
going to be the thing that sends her home in a couple of episodes. But we'll get to that in a few weeks.
Oh, poor Scarlett.
Poor Scarlett. Yeah. She was big mad too, and all of those talking heads. Brooklyn was just under her skin. I forgot how much of a terrorist Brooke
Yes.
was.
Brooke was reading her for filth. My goodness, at the beginning of the
You could
episode.
tell Brooke was shook. I think she was the other pretty white girl, right? Like
Yeah.
that just kind of threw her off. And I'm like, you don't even understand. The person you need to be worried about is running around naked right now. That's who all of y'all need to be worried about.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And we should say, so Scarlett did win the challenge alongside Evie Oddly, getting her first win as well. And I thought Evie did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. All around.
Hmm.
Evie
All
always understands the
around.
assignment.
Yes. I like her a lot. I see why. I see why she goes all the way.
Hmm.
And again, people be trying to, shade the weird queens. But those are the
And
ones to look
yet,
out for.
And
mhm,
yet,
it's usually who's in that winner's circle every
Uh-huh.
time.
because RuPaul likes weird, she just
And
does.
and they're the
Yeah.
they're the unique ones, right? There's never been another Evie on the series. There's nobody else that's quite like her before or after. And there are a couple of these girls who I can't keep straight in my head because they so remind me of each other. The sort of, you know, Miss Cracker to Ariel Versace to Plasma Pipeline for me is like it's very intense. So when you do get an Evie, you're like, oh yeah, none of the rest of you, or Silky, right? Like these people who are so distinctively themselves, whether or not you like them, they're memorable, and that there's something to be said for that.
Well, and I do think that Silky is probably the main character of this episode.
If
Mhm.
Because
not the
Indeed.
franchise, I
if
mean,
not the
whenever
franchise.
Silky's on the damn show. Yeah.
I mean, because she wins the mini challenge, she gets to pick her team, and lots of the other queens have things to say. about
Right.
Miss Silky, especially Ariel Versace and her lame ass. Like,
Was so whack. That was so whack. I was like, what is this energy of y'all like telling on Silky to
Hmm.
Rue? Like,
Hmm.
that
like
was the
she
energy
just
of it. It
takes
was,
up all the air in the room and she takes up all the energy in the room and all she likes to do is talk and blah 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 blah. And she picked up Miley Cyrus when she was in the room and doing blah 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 blah.
It
And it's
was
just
a lot
like,
of snitching,
girl,
wasn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
yes, they were straight up trying to snitch. Cause it's like also once one got going, all the others were just like, yeah.
Hmm.
And she just does this. Just, I'm like, wow, y'all been waiting to talk shit.
They've been
This
waiting
is
for
giving
it.
middle school.
Hmm.
This is giving middle school.
Hmm.
And which is why I was not mad when Evie
Yep.
when Evie also called them out and was like, okay, at least you said something, Ariel. Now the rest of y'all. Um
Well, and I'm just like, what were they thinking that Rue's reaction was going to be like? Oh my goodness, a loud drag queen
Right.
on my television show? Not today. You get out. Not today, Satan. Out, 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 out. Eliminated. We
A-
cannot have loud drag queens with big personalities on this show. Are you crazy? Like,
as much as Rue loves mess, on top of everything else, I mean, seriously, what did they think that was going to do other than just make them all look shook?
they thought Rue was going to share their black fatigue. That's what they thought. We are tired of this big black bitch and her mouth. And they thought Rue was going to be like, mm-hmm, I understand.
that is what they expected. That's
They
exactly
really
what they
did.
expected.
Yeah. But I always think it confuses the girls when somebody who isn't conventionally pretty comes in and does really well. Like I think they always seem confused. It's definitely with the bigger girls because
Hmm.
every
Hmm.
time Ginger
Hmm.
Minge or Eureka has been on one of their many, many, many seasons, somebody has an issue with them from jump, right? And it's like
Hmm.
you don't
Or,
understand.
mhm. Or I think about Jinx Monsoon's first
Oh
season.
yeah, absolutely. Like Jinx had them so confused.
So shook.
I mean, the way that Detox and Alaska could not get out of their heads
And
around,
Roxy
and
Andrews, like at the
Roxy, yeah.
end, like, oh, like you think you're a good drag queen because you're funny, but you're also ugly.
Well,
And it's just like, are you are you crazy? Drag queens aren't supposed to be funny now?
And that happens every time, and I can see why, even before Silky has her famous lip sync run a couple of seasons later, like Silky has him really shook. I think far and away she's the best makeup artist on this season. Like where her face starts and where it ends up on those runways. Like she has a very real skill set and she has so much personality and she's doing it without, being in three corsets and squeezed down to a size 00. And I think they just don't know how to react to it. Like they have no idea what to do with it. And it's fantastic television.
It is. It is. And I think maybe like the first time I watched it, I think maybe I was a little like I don't know. I get maybe I just didn't kind of get Silky in a way like here we are 10 years later, or however many years later. And I really appreciate Silky. And I think maybe I also had to have that experience on All Stars with her.
Yeah.
Where it's like, because like at first I was just sort of like, oh, and she's a Republican and she's this and she's
Mhm.
that and I don't understand and da 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 da. And like, let's be real, her fashions aren't as
Oh, they're all over
polished
the
as they
place.
could
Yeah,
be.
all
And
over
so
the
I was just
place.
like, I don't get it. Now looking back on it, rewatching it, I'm like, she's amazing. She's the best. And she's just having fun and being herself and being loud and being proud and being awesome. And like, if only we all had a little bit of that, and especially some of the
Hmm.
girls on this season, Ariel
Especially.
Versace.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm just saying.
No, absolutely. It's such an interesting object lesson. And to your earlier point, Paige, paying attention to who Rue cares about, to who Rue has sort of responded to it. That's the biggest cue about what some of these girls' trajectory is. Because even without
Mhm.
winning, Silky and Vanjie have like really gone on to have like an incredible presence in the
Mhm.
franchise. Vanjie might be, she's got to be like one of the three most notorious queens just from the way she exited the first time. But she's consistently hilarious. All of her looks are great. She's fantastic in the challenges. And I think it's just because she's just herself. You know, she's
Yeah.
just herself every single time, and herself is delightful.
Yeah. I wonder if also if some of them don't understand that drag race, again, one of the ways drag race is different from just doing drag. Like you are on TV,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
you are in this situation where you have these work long periods in a workroom with each
Mm-hmm.
other. And that's on TV. You know, it's not just what you're giving on stage. And when you're actually in drag, it benefits you to have a big personality.
Yeah.
Um, because as much as Rue loves good drag, Rue also likes good sound bites and money,
Mm-hmm.
good
Mhm.
promo
Mm-hmm.
material,
Mm-hmm.
being a cultural icon. Rue
Absolutely.
likes them dollars, them ratings, baby. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it benefits you to just be yourself and take up space. What was Silky running around a workroom with Miley Cyrus on her back a little much?
Perhaps. But it was a moment.
But
It
it was
was
a
a
moment,
moment.
and y'all
Exactly.
better be okay with creating a moment.
Hmm.
Because if you are not equally interesting in and out of drag, you actually can't win the show.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I think you're exactly right, Paige. A lot of them haven't quite figured out that this is not a pageant. And part of what they're looking at is you in totality. Because whenever I watch a reality show, I always think about what's the reward? The
Mm-hmm.
reward when you win, because to me that is going to very much dictate who is going to win. And frequently, the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race doesn't just get, you know, $100,000, $200,000. They also get a show on the World of Wonder Network. So they're looking for people who can carry a show. So when Silky came in there talking about, oh, I want to have a TV show, and
Hmm.
then actually had a personality where she could carry it, I'm like, I don't know what to tell the rest of you hoes. Like, it's kind of a thing that's already happened at this moment. Whether she walks away with the crown or not, we have not seen the last of Silky Nutmeg Ganache.
Absolutely not. And let it be known, like you can, as long as you have personality and you can create those moments, you can look a mess
Yeah,
and win Drag Race.
you can abso-fucking-lutely, because
Absolutely.
Jinx Monsoon is my all-time favorite contestant on this show,
But she
and
looked crazy that
she
first
brought
season.
not a single look to that first season. She because that was not what she was there to do. And even when she won All Stars 8, I guess it wasn't on the lip syncing, it wasn't on the looks. It was just she was just bigger and funnier
And she
than the
looked
other
better
girls.
than she did,
She looked
certainly.
she looked
But
way better. But as we established in our conversation with Monet a couple of years ago, Monet won that last lip sync. It
absolutely.
just so happened Jinx won the season.
Yes. Which, I mean, no shade to Anya Nerve, but I might say
Oh yeah, we saw it.
yes.
Yeah, we saw it.
Jewel Sparkles won that lipstick. I'm so sorry. I
No,
love you, Anya, so much. However,
right. But Anya had won that season.
and
That first
absolutely
time
hands down.
she came out walking like somebody's 60-year-old auntie with her back hunched over and her hand perched up. You know, it was like, okay, she's won this. Like
Hmm.
she hit Rue where Rue wanted to be hit. Doesn't matter what the rest of you do the rest of the season. It's
Absolutely.
over.
Absolutely.
I still need
Well,
to catch up, but I knew she
yes.
had it when she made that dress out of beauty supply items.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
precisely.
You can't tell
Pre.
me anything about her, actually.
But I cannot get over she was doing that little Arietti shuffle. In that final lip sync, and I was like, girl. And I was just like, please let your report card for the rest of the season carry you through. Please. But moving on, the episode of season 11 that we are talking about. So before the runway, we have our customary mirror chat. And this one, speaking of Mercedes, we get a little bit of more insight into Mercedes, which is I think how we know that she will be lip syncing and she will probably win. But just talking about her immigration status, her journey, her illness. And Mercedes has been through a lot, y'all.
I mean, yeah, that
Dang.
Mhm.
that one story about being on the no-fly list, if it were just
Hmm.
that, that would have been a lot. But then you throw on the stroke on top of it and everything that that clearly meant for how she saw herself. It was kind of devastating.
It really was. It really was. And how hard it is for her to see herself as beautiful. And I think it adds a little bit more shading to our
Yeah.
earlier conversation just about sort of it is interesting to me how the whole opulence thing has become sort of a catchphrase that like people I don't know. I just feel like it I don't love that.
Yeah. Bad.
I don't
On rewatch, it doesn't it feel it feels
it
very
feels
different.
it feels kind of icky and
Yeah.
xenophobic,
It
but
does. And I kind of feel like one of the things on the rewatches I've noticed, the fat phobia is as intense as I remembered it, and maybe more so. And then the xenophobia, because it's not just with her, right? Like there'll be more opportunities, unfortunately, to talk about this with Plastique, but
yes.
even sort of the default to that stereotype. And I feel like as a drag queen, or it maybe as any kind of person who deals in comedy, you deal in stereotypes frequently to make points. But it felt different with what, sort of even what she was saying about like her exposure to pop culture. Like there's a piece of this of I am I am, culturally foreign in this moment, and I'm going to be penalized for how you see me in this on this show, and that's very uncomfortable
Mm.
to watch
It
and kind of
is.
think about. This show has been such a safe space for me, but it's because it's celebrating my difference in a way that other people's differences are sort of being trivialized or mocked, and it's kind of weird to sit with that for me personally.
Hmm. It's also, I think, a reminder that even amongst queer folks, among gay folks around, like we can still perpetuate the same kind of the same kind of oppression, the same kind of inequality.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, Absolutely. We have to remind ourselves that, especially that like white queer folks are still white.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Cis queer folks are still cis.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely remind
as
ourselves
I
that
mean,
queer
even on
folks.
this show alone, like Rue did not allow trans women to compete for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know just like straight up didn't allow
Hmm.
Yeah.
them to.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
policy.
Man, the framing of the
that's
show
wild.
initially was very much around that, you know, gentlemen search your engines and may the best woman win, right? So they were looking, the show was very much framed around, even for the contestants who may have been trans or otherwise gender expansive. In those first couple of seasons, in the workroom settings, you were supposed to be in boy drag, even if in your real life, that's not how you would have dressed, or that's not necessarily how you would have identified, because the show
Mhm.
was about, that movement in Spanish speaking countries. It was initially called the switch because of that. So I think that was
Oh,
very present in it. And lots of folks were really, really critiquing that aspect of the show. Right. And I
mhm,
think I'm glad that it got critiqued. I'm glad that they made that push. I'm glad that they broke it out of that because I don't think drag is specifically about, you know, men quotation marks putting on women's clothing quotation marks as much
right.
as we may have framed it like that, like in the through the 80s and 90s. But
Mhm,
that was so present
Mm.
on the first couple of
Several
years.
seasons.
Yeah. And thinking about someone like Sonique, the trans woman who won, maybe I guess it was All Stars
I think it was
5,
six.
something like that. 6. It was
Hmm.
one of them, right? Um, you kind of think about her first appearance on her season and maybe what she felt like she could show, could say, could do, and where she was later. It's a very interesting thing. And I, appreciate Rue as a person who's 20 years older than we are, going through his own journey. But I found some of that really painful early on
Hmm.
because I couldn't. It just felt like, why is this? Why is this the thing that we're making this decision over, and not any of the other things? And now on other franchises, like there's cisgender women who compete. The winner of Drag Race Germany was a cisgender woman. Like it's really shifted in the last couple of years, but that was a sore, ugly thumb in the first 5, 7 seasons of the show.
It sure was.
just so wild to me. Like I under even even giving me a like maybe mainstream cultural understanding of a drag queen at that time, um being pretty narrow as y'all are describing. Like it's seen as a man dressing up as a woman. Like that's what it was. I think still many of us, who are just within queer communities, LGBTQ communities across the spectrum, like often we see much more much more diversity than that.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, how are we not all on the same page now that trans women especially are at like the center of of our communities and so much of what we have now, so much of the visibility we have now, so much of like the so many of the safe spaces. um like I don't know, it just makes me sad. It makes me sad that that kind of exclusion happens. And I'm glad it's been I am glad that it's been corrected, course corrected, also
Yes, yes.
on the same platform, on a international stage. I think that has helped to open people's eyes to drag just kind of being about like gender performance in general.
Yeah.
um so I'm grateful for that, but man, whew,
Yeah. It was sad. But like you said, it is really lovely that they have made a lot of changes and a lot of the performers who were not out as trans when they were in their original seasons, many of them have been able to come back
Yeah.
on later All-Star seasons or other international franchises, some of the versus the World seasons. And I think Kylie Sonique Love is the coming back um, fully out as a trans woman and like one of the most sickening, beautiful,
yeah.
gorgeous um, performers to ever be on that stage. Just, the dancing alone. Um, and it's just been really nice to like they can sort of continue their journey in a much more sort of authentic way. And a lot of the language around the show has changed and catchphrases and things. And now it's, may the best woman win, but may the best drag queen win. Um,
They
and
changed it to drag queen.
they did. They sure did.
Random deep cut for y'all. Sorry.
Yes, yes. But they've gotten better, but this sort of these early bumps, it's just
And
Mhm.
to be fair, we've changed. Like
yes,
America's
yes.
changed. As a queer
Yeah.
community, we've changed. I was chatting with some of my colleagues today about the need to update um, update our language on our website or around we have lots of references to female on our website as opposed to woman, right? And like having a conversation around this is all living language because we're talking about people's identities. And as long as the containers are continually changing, the people and the words that we have to use to talk about people will change. And it feels good that we can be comfortable as a show that is very much of the community, like saying, okay, some stuff has changed with us in the last 2 years, let's update this too. Like that feels really really nice, because I remember another context of my life that hasn't always been the case, where people are that ready to say, you know what, let's just update these words so that everybody feels like they are entitled to be a part of our thing, right?
Mhm.
So I really do love that for the show. And I hope we can continue to develop and become even more diverse in the kinds of queens who are on the show and the kinds of queens who can win.
Absolutely, absolutely. 'Cause can you imagine if Sasha Colby had not been allowed to compete?
I actually can, and I can imagine that our one friend, oh, what was her name? The one who did that martial arts, you better walk that fucking duck.
Anitra,
Yeah,
Anitra.
I think Anitra would have been quite fine if
Yeah,
Sasha had
Anitra would have
not.
been
But
very happy.
the rest of us would have missed out though.
Well, speaking of things that make me happy and that I love fashion and I love
Yeah.
astrology.
This was my favorite runway. I loved it.
So luckily this week's runway theme is what's your sign? The queens were assigned to dress up as I'm assuming their sun sign.
Yeah, yeah.
They were not allowed to sort of pick which sign or which placement resonates with them. That's a quibble for another time, but that's fine. On the judging panel, we have Rue, of course, in her Wakanda chic.
She looked
Uh,
cute.
she did look cute. We have Michelle. We have the mildly amusing Ross Matthews. Saturday Night Live's Bobby Moynihan and Sydel Noel from Black Panther.
Yeah.
I did not. Do you know who that is? I met.
Yeah. So in the early scene when the absolute delectable Michael B. Jordan
Mm.
was stealing from that museum, and like he read that docent to filth, and then
Mm-hmm.
he was stealing. She was his girlfriend in those early scenes,
Oh.
without
Uh-huh.
getting into a whole like Marvel comics rabbit hole. She was originally supposed to play a character that they had double cast. Another actress was also playing that same character on Luke Cage, a TV show in Marvel. So they changed her character's name, and I think subsequently they just didn't use her again. But if they kept the same name of the character, she would have popped up a bit more. And I think at this particular moment, it probably seemed like she was going to have a bigger career with Marvel. Otherwise, I don't think it would have made sense for her to be the guest judge and then be like from, Black Panther, because she kind of was in like 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay. Well,
that's your comic book education for the afternoon.
well, there you go. Well, let's get to some of these runway looks. Okay,
Oh,
so Brooke Lynn Heights is first out. She is a Pisces,
of course.
and
Sorry.
and she is wearing a sort of a gown with like koi fish on it and sort of a big plastic clear neck piece
Oh,
situation.
she sure was. I hated the wig. I liked the gown. That wig was very matronly to me, but thought the gown was cute.
I feel like Brooke sort of skews matronly sometimes.
Yeah. No, I think it's the pageant of it all.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, next up we've got Plastique. Plastique is an Aries,
Which
and
Aries?
she's wearing sort of like a gold shrug gown situation, looking gorgeous as Plastique always does.
Yeah, no notes.
Okay. Raja O'Hara is next. Raja is a Capricorn. She sure is.
Oh, I love this look. I thought it was so cute.
A bronze dress with horns and hooves.
The
Very
I
makeup
love the hooves.
tickled
sparkly.
me. The wig was cute too.
hmm Very skin
Yes.
tight.
Mhm.
Nina comes out. She's a Leo.
Hated
Uh,
it.
yeah,
Boring.
very. I I wrote ugly fire thing.
Yeah, it wasn't giving lion
Mm-mm.
at all.
Mm-mm.
Like I didn't, yeah. Her makeup wasn't bad, but like I really didn't like the look. I didn't like
But
the wig.
it just looked cheap.
And like
Yeah.
she was she didn't have anything, so she was like, what can I just throw together? Because it was just giving very last minute.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This dress kind of looks like you could find it in Forever 21.
Ooh.
And just, I'm just saying.
Well,
It do.
if Shein was a thing at the time.
Yep.
Next up, we have Honey Davenport. She is also a Leo, and I wrote Diana Ross, but Lion.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. I don't think Honey had the showing she could have had
Mhm.
on the show. I didn't think this was bad. I think it probably needed to be stepped up in some way, but it wasn't the worst thing. It was certainly better than what Nina had on.
Yeah. Oh, 1000%.
Hmm.
And we'll see in the next episode. Poor Honey.
Yeah,
My
poor
goodness.
Honey. Poor
My
Honey.
goodness. Next up, we have Sugar Cane, who is a Scorpio. God help all the people in her life. Um, she's wearing sort of a red and black mesh leotard sort of thing with these very long braids. It's not really giving Scorpion,
Yeah.
but sort of
No.
the essence of scorpionness, I guess, sort of.
Hmm. Just a hint of Scorpio.
I feel like Michelle was a little hard on her. Like I agree. Like it wasn't it if I didn't know that she's supposed to be a Scorpio, I wouldn't have known. But in the context of the runway, I would have guessed Scorpio. So I also
Yes.
kind of felt like,
Yes.
Michelle, I hear you, but also, I mean, we got it.
I mean, like, what else would it have been?
Right. You want her to put on some, crab arms or something? Like I don't know what it was that she wanted. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
fine. It wasn't
some
groundbreaking.
right. And we have to acknowledge that some of the signs are actually harder to communicate than others. And, we
That
don't
is
have
true,
any control over
and we will see that later. Because I have I have some thoughts when we get
it.
to the Sagittarius.
I had a feeling.
Hmm.
Is all I have to say. Anyway, we next have Ariel Versace, Aries of all Arieses,
Um, I mean,
and
it was whatever.
a lavender ram sort of moment, I guess.
With fun for like I
Fun
don't
fur, just looked cheap.
I
It
didn't like the
looked
panel on the back of the skirt. Like I don't and it didn't work for me, and I probably would have put her in the bottom too.
oh, 100%. It was very Aries by way of like Jersey Shore, which is her thing.
Yeah,
That's her aesthetic, but like it's not for me.
for me.
Yeah, I was like, this is cute. It's cute, but for the challenge, no. No.
Right. Like, maybe somebody's, Halloween party or something, but I don't know if it was like main stage of RuPaul's Drag Race on TV. I really don't.
Now, speaking of some problematic fashions, and as much as lovely things as we had to say about Silky, Capricorn, yes. And also just multicolored ugliness with horns, trash bags hanging from the side. That's what I wrote.
A, of course, Silky is a Capricorn, and B,
The Capricornist of
the
Capricorns.
Capricorniest person on TV. Yeah, the look is a mess. I like the beat, but the look was definitely a mess.
Yeah, it was terrible. Oof. Oof,
Uh,
girl. And just poorly made.
and it's like I wanted to like it. It's like I wanted all of the same elements and just rearranged in a completely different way, like a different type of outfit,
Mm-hmm.
not whatever this bodysuit with trash bags attached kind of thing
Yeah.
Mm.
is.
It was
Mm-mm.
just shapeless and just garish and ugh, not for me. All right, next out on the runway is our challenge winner, one of them, Evie, who Leo of the Leos. And she's giving you Tin Man and the Lion at the
Uh-huh.
same time. Very
That's
sort
exactly
of
what I wrote.
steampunk retro future, very cool with the cool dreads. And I thought it was 10 out of 10.
Absolutely loved it, and was one of
Mhm.
those I especially appreciate one where I can have an immediate reaction, just face
Mm-hmm.
value reaction of, oh, this is good. But then you look at details and
Hmm.
you find more things to love. Yeah. Yeah. Turned it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Tens across the board.
Tens across the
Mhm.
board. And to me, this was Evie's coming out episode because of, the first one, I felt like she was a little under the radar. And this one, it was like, oh no, she's in here and y'all have to contend with her because
Yeah.
it was so compelling because nobody else was thinking like that. Everybody else was like, how do I look so cute on the runway? Right. And then she was like, actually, I'm doing something else over here.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next up on the runway, we have Miss Vanjie. Miss Vanjie is a Libra. She sure is.
Yes, she is.
And this is where you can see her collaboration, her celebrity come
Mm-hmm.
into play because she is
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous,
It was my favorite
beautifully
look of the
made,
night. It was
beautifully
stunning.
made. Long red gown covered in roses. She has a headpiece with these two giant scales coming off. And looks heavy as fuck, but gorgeous.
And the part of what I loved about this particular garment, so this is a tall season. Several of these girls are over 6 feet, maybe six of them, and Vanjie is like 5'8", 5'9", and this outfit made her look so long, right? Like it,
Hmm.
it was just really well constructed. Everything was beautiful about it. This was the episode where I was like, oh, is is Vanjie a different level of a contender than I realized? And she was,
Hmm.
Hmm.
she really showed up and I loved it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
she learned a lot
Yeah.
in that year away and
Yeah.
really stepped her game up.
Yeah.
Yeah. From this look to how she did in the movie challenge, I'm like, "Ooh, y'all better watch out.
You better watch out.
Watch out."
Yeah, and I don't understand why she wasn't in the top. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't either
She was
because
iconic in the challenge
I
and
thought
this
she was
beautiful outfit.
hilarious. I really, I do. But one of the things that we didn't talk about last week was how they are also assessing them not just in the challenge. Like they watch you all week. They're watching you when you're in the workroom. There, it counts how you show up to the rehearsals of, the main challenge. And I think it all matters ultimately to who wins in a way that we don't always get to see because we only get those truncated versions of them debating the winners. But to me, this was a really good moment of being reminded that they're actually weighing a bunch of stuff that we have no idea that they're weighing, because Vanjie to me was a top one this episode.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, if you didn't want us to think that Vanjie was the top, why would you edit the episode this way? That's what always
Ding, ding,
annoys me.
ding,
If
ding,
you
ding,
wanted it
ding.
to make sense, you could have just edited her out a little bit. But okay, whatever. Anyway, next up we have Akiria. She is a Pisces, and she, much like Brooke, is wearing a gown with sequins and with koi fish on it, but it's much more elevated. I like it so much more than what Brooke had on, because Brooke kind of looked crazy. And Akira looks very elegant, very polished. She's serving you good old Texas pageant as usual.
In four
Yes.
wigs, four
Hmm.
wigs. I
Yes,
mean,
precisely. Precisely. So
Big
many.
wig, big earrings. I love how it's giving whimsy, but still put
mm-hmm,
together,
Hmm.
you
mm-hmm.
know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to Akira. Next up. Okay, I have to put my paper down for this because this was so upsetting to me. We have Mercedes, who is a Sagittarius,
Mm.
and this was an insult.
Oh, not insult.
It was.
It was an
It
insult to
was.
Sagittarians everywhere. And we had some lovely, empathetic things to say about Mercedes. And I hope someday, we can go down to the 90s or the saloon or wherever she is performing in Minneapolis, and we can maybe just have a talk.
Yeah.
Because to represent Sagittarians, the mutable fire sign.
Mm.
We are the wildfire. We are the philosophers. We are the optimists. We are the explorers. How dare you come down the runway in this Party City Spirit Halloween caveman costume, this low budget Thunderdome nonsense with your little plastic bow and arrow. No, no,
Mm-mm.
no, ma'am.
Yeah, I didn't like
I'm very upset.
Absolutely not.
it.
Very upset for a variety of reasons.
Disappointed. I thought that I had missed something, and I was like, she can't be portraying Sagittarius. I know I heard that wrong.
Mm.
I think I
Mm,
heard that wrong. Let me go
mm-mm.
back. Um, but even if she was portraying another sign, it still wouldn't have been good. I was like,
No,
where is this? Yeah, this looks cheap. Is very much Party
Very
City,
much.
very much the Halloween pop-up shop, very I was like, where's the fire?
Yeah.
where is the
Where is
fire?
Where's the
any
fire?
of the Sagittarian
Where's the
fire,
centaur?
spark, flame?
Mm,
I didn't just disappointed.
it's-
This does not represent us
I'm
as
just
Sagittarians
saying.
at
I'm
all.
just saying. Like, I'm getting a little teary. All right, we need to move on. Next up, we have Kahana Montrese. She is an Aries, and she's wearing a long stoned yellow gown with horns. The horns were cute. The wig was not
The
at
wig was
all.
not.
The body
Uh,
glitter was unfortunate.
the
It
body
was.
glitter, who told her? Because Coco didn't tell her to do that.
Nah, but also that wardrobe malfunction on the runway was
Mm,
really unfortunate.
it was tragic.
Uh,
Poor thing.
so I mean, it really really was. It wasn't, as Michelle said, and I think she diagnosed this correctly. She wasn't ready to
Hmm.
be on this show yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the glitter, because like Vanju was wearing glitter in the opening, in her
Mhm.
opening look as well. And I'm just like, was this a trend at the time?
I think so. I was trying to remember
Because
back to then, and I actually think it was.
it does not read on camera. It
No,
just looks
no.
dirty. It looks like you have dirt on your chest.
It
I,
does.
it's one of the things I feel like being on the show, you have to figure out, like, how do you
Yeah.
make your looks work for the camera? How do you make your makeup work? Because you're under a very different kind of lighting. All of
Mm-hmm.
those, they're performing in these clubs, and these clubs are dark as hell. They're loud as hell, right?
And I bet it
It's
looks cute in the club.
right. That's what I'm thinking. A lot of, the especially on the darker complexion girls, like the orange pancake and all of that. Like it just these lights are not serving any of that, and they
No.
have to figure that out really quickly because otherwise we have to sit here and read them, and that's not what any of us truly wants to do.
All right. And last up, we have Scarlet Envy, co-challenge winner. Also a Pisces. A lot of Pisces.
It's
A
explain
lot of
why
Pisces and a lot of
there's
Aries.
unnecessary drama on the show this season.
And yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
lot. Anyway, she is wearing sort of a scary White Walker
Oh my
situation with bubbles, and I didn't like
bubbles.
it.
I didn't like it either. I
And
didn't
the
like
wig
it
was
either.
ugly.
Yeah, she's a pretty girl. She could have put on something
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So.
It's all right.
else.
Okay, so in the top we have Plastique, Sugar, Scarlet, and Evie. Scarlet and Evie win. We didn't talk about Plastique and her accent that she used during the challenge, but
It might be more relevant when it comes up again on these other episodes.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
In the bottom, we have Brooke, Deserve, Ariel, also Deserve, Mercedes, and Kahana. The bottom two, lip syncing for their life, are Mercedes and Kahana. And Mercedes, as much as we had to say about her, I think what needed to happen, because the lip sync song is Work Bitch by Sagittarian icon Miss Britney Spears.
One of
And I
my
think what
all-time
she,
favorite
yes,
pop songs. Oh, I love
y-
it.
yes. And I think what she needed, she wasn't wearing the Sagittarian outfit, but she needed the essence of our Sagittarian sister to sort of possess her. And she turns it the fuck out,
It was
in my opinion.
spectacular. It was such a great, performance. I loved every second of it.
Yes. Yes. So I know we had to read you Mercedes for your outfit, but your lip sync was transcendent.
Yeah, she redeemed herself
She did.
completely. And poor Kahana, it was like she didn't, she just, it was like in an act of desperation, she was just everywhere doing everything.
Flips
Yes.
and cartwheels and
And
all this and that. And it's like, girl, you don't need to do all
you
that.
don't need to do all that.
Mm.
Like, just
Or if you
doing too
are gonna do all
much.
that, like, build us up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like, tell a story.
yeah.
She's just all over, chaotic, all
Because
over the place.
yeah, it's these girls that come out here and it's like the desperation and they feel
Yeah.
like this is not a lip sync, it's like a Simone Biles floor routine and it's like no girl. That's not what we're doing here. You need to you like you say you need to build to that. You need to butter me up a little bit before you start flipping and flopping and all
Yeah, it
this
was more
craziness.
flopping than flipping, unfortunately.
Yeah, it sure was. But Kahana is eliminated, but of course Kahana comes back
A
in a
lot.
future All-Star season and does quite well. And you
And
can see the growth. And she uh, is now a very seasoned and talented queen.
she's also in a bunch of the backgrounds this season. So she comes back a couple of times, like in the background. And there was something that Rue said when she was leaving about, kid, you've got a big career in front of you or something like that. Because it was clear that Rue saw something and continued investing and supporting her. And it's paid off. Like when she came back for All Stars 9 or whatever it was, she was fantastic.
Yeah,
Like
she looked beautiful.
she looked beautiful. she'd figured so much out that she hadn't known on her own season, and it was like a joy to watch her when she comes back. So yeah.
Yes, well, pour one out for Kahana Montrese. And I think that's gonna do it for this week's recap. You were correct, Lee. We did not get to episode 3.
Child, I know how we do.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah, no. All right. So we're just gonna just give up and just say we're gonna do one episode at a time. So we'll be talking about this until 2027.
It's like we have to relay the episodes in real time. If the episode took an hour, we need an hour to talk about it. And yeah, that's just where we are.
It's just it just is what it is.
It is
So
what it is, right?
yes.
And if you don't like it, then you can fight us.
There you
Wait,
go.
that's not what I
Oh,
meant to say. I
Wait.
meant to say, I hope y'all like it. Sorry.
Well, there was no Aquarius on the runway, but we have one on our podcast. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's Drag Race recap. We will be right back with a really quick Pure Black Joy. Stay tuned. And we are back, and it is time for Pure Black Joy. This is the segment of the show where we talk about the Black people, places, food, music, art, culture that is making us happy this week. So, who would like to go first? I can go first.
Good.
Okay. We are recording this on Friday the 16th, which means that tomorrow is the Eurovision final. And those of you who know me know that I love Eurovision. It's one of my little annual guilty pleasures. Of course, it has been fraught the past couple of years. It is not easy to be a Eurovision fan right now, just with the continued inclusion of Israel in the contest. And I'm not going to get into all of that. We can. But I'm not going to. It's probably not going to be as fun this year, and I'm probably not going to pay as close attention to it. But what I do want to say is that there is one, count 'em, one Black performer in the final this year. His name is Claude. He is representing the Netherlands with the song C'est la vie. And I just want to say, Claude, you better go out there and show out. As Issa would say, I'm rooting for everyone black. And Claude, I hope that you get all the points and that you win, and that we'll be having Eurovision in Amsterdam next year. There you go.
I love it.
Yay.
Yay,
Go,
Black
Claude.
people.
Go, Claude.
And speaking of Black people, I have a little bit of pure Black joy myself. Representative Summer Lee, who represents Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh area. Shout to August Wilson in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, or reasonably good Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And just yesterday, she put forward a resolution on the floor of the House that would effectively provide reparations to the descendants of Black American slaves.
Okay.
Which is,
Okay.
first of all, owed to us,
Mhm.
right? So there isn't a conversation about whether or not this is a thing. If we are out here doing reparative work for other kinds of people of Afrikaans descent, or whatever you want to say, I actually think what do they say? Charity starts at home, and we can really consider the 40 million Black people who are owed reparations in this country. It's been 150 some years, and I think it is absolutely overdue.
Amen.
Amen. Ashe.
And for
Absolutely.
those of us who are only getting a partial payout for one reason or another, I will still take my half. Thank you.
Yes.
My husband and I are each owed a half, so we will take
Absolutely.
ours.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Representative Lee, for your service.
You are so welcome, dear.
No, you're talking about Summer Lee,
Oh yeah,
honey.
yes.
You are not a representative.
Oh, I was.
Well, but thank you, Dr. Lee, and thank you, Paige, for spending this time with me. And thanks to all of you out there for letting us come in your ear holes, as always.
Thank you.
It feels so good. Uh, Anywho, we will be back in 2 weeks with a regular show, all about current events and things. But until then, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you are leaving us a review. Make sure that you are telling all of your friends all about the score and how much you love us. And just keep tuning in. But until next time, any words of wisdom, my friends?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything that's happening around us is some old bullshit, and we need to treat it like that's what it is. This isn't reality, and we don't have to take it.
Well, there you go.
We don't have to take it. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. There you go. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. And until next time, bye everyone.